So you want to sell on Amazon FBA from Canada. Great, but you're not sure where to start and you probably have 1.5 million questions. Like for example, how do I sell in the United States as a Canadian? Am I allowed to sell in the US as a Canadian? What kind of LLC or corporation do I need and where can I get one? As well as what is the best way for me to actually start making money on Amazon fast? In this video, I'm going to give you all the answers to these questions. If you're a Canadian, then you will come out of this video, you'll know every single thing you need to know to successfully sell on Amazon USA, on Amazon Canada, and any other Amazon marketplace that you want to sell in. As well, I'm going to share with you the secrets and the tips and tricks that I've learned over years of successfully selling and building out my business on Amazon. At age 20, I quit my corporate 9-to-5 bank job where I was absolutely miserable and I was just tired of going to that job. I was sitting in a cubicle and I was just thinking to myself, I cannot do this for 50 years of my life. And at the time, I was $40,000 in college debt. I had no idea how to start any kind of business, but I knew that there had to be a way. And I really believed in the fact that I could become successful because there were so many people out there, including Canadians, that were successful with online business. So I quit my job and I went all in on building a successful Amazon FBA business. And after a few failures, I did have a few initial failures, and it was quick, it was only a few months. I hit my first 6 figures in the first year of me selling on Amazon, and then I later hit 7 figures about 10 months later. And now I'm climbing to 8 figures with all my online businesses, specifically with my online education business, where I'm committed to creating the world's best online education platform, ecomfreedom.com, for people who want to start a successful online business and who want to adopt the mindset of success, who want to retrain their mindset. So I can tell you it's been an absolutely crazy journey. It's been the best journey of my life. And I'm so happy that you are considering starting a successful online business. It's not for everybody. Not everybody can succeed. But I believe that if you believe in yourself and you dream big, you think big, and you can persevere, there's no reason why you can't succeed, because I was in the exact same shoes as you are today back then. You just have to take action, dream big, think big, persevere, and success will surely come to you. So let's get started with the first question. Where can I sell as a Canadian? Now, if you're a Canadian, I highly recommend that you start selling on Amazon USA. And I'm going to discuss every single marketplace, so every single country on Amazon that you can sell on. And I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of them, as well as things that you have to remember, things you have to watch out for, and that will give you a sure idea of where you should actually start. So as a Canadian, you're allowed to sell on any Amazon marketplace in the world, and it's amazing because you can start in one country, for example, in the US, and then you can go on and later expand to Europe and to Canada and basically anywhere else in the world. There's also Amazon India, Amazon Japan, and Amazon, as you know, is constantly expanding. It's a rising tide today, and it will definitely be one of the biggest forces in the 21st century. So as a Canadian, you're probably wondering, where should I start selling on Amazon? There's all these countries. Where is the best place for me to start to actually achieve success the fastest? So I'm going to give you a breakdown of each country, and you'll come out of this with hopefully a better idea of where you should start your business and where you should launch your first product. So if we start with the biggest one, Amazon USA, the United States has a population of about 327 million, and I believe it's higher now. It's always rising. So if you look at that, just at that number, it's a huge number. And that means that there is a huge amount of paying customers in the United States who are used to buying things online and who are more and more getting used to buying things online. As we're going through the e-commerce revolution, more and more people are turning away from retail and they're going online to buy their stuff. They don't want to waste gas, waste time to drive to the store, wait in line, and do any of that. They just want to sign up for Amazon Prime and get 1-2 day shipping right to their door. So that's why I actually started in Amazon USA. My first failed product was actually on Amazon Canada because I thought that as a Canadian, I thought Canada would explode just like the US with the arrival of Amazon. But what I didn't realize was that there's just way less population in Canada. And so Canada has medium demand, a much lower amount of competition than the United States. The United States has the highest amount of competition out of all the Amazon marketplaces. And also, if you're selling in Canada, then you have to deal with the weaker dollar. So if you sell something at $30 in Canada, that's only about $23 to $25 in the US. Now, if you look at Amazon Europe is insane because the population in Europe is 741 million. I just Googled it. And that's crazy. That's like double. That's more than double the population in the United States. And so I think that Europe usually comes a little bit late to these things, and I think they're just being slower with the adoption of e-commerce. So that's why Europe can also be a fantastic opportunity. It is a fantastic opportunity. It's growing incredibly fast. And also, if you sell in Europe, there's something called the Pan-European FBA program, which allows you to basically send all your units to an Amazon warehouse in one country. Let's say you want to sell in all of them, so UK, Germany, France, Spain, and Italy. You don't have to hold inventory in each Amazon warehouse in each country. You can just send the units to Germany, and then you can actually post listings from those units all over Europe, and then Amazon will go and actually provide 1 to 2 day shipping or 2 day shipping to the UK, to Germany, to France, to Spain, and to Italy, so all over Europe from that same warehouse. And so that's why it's a fantastic opportunity, and I highly recommend, if you start out with the US or with Canada, then you should definitely consider Europe as an expansion point very soon. Now, the biggest question, and I know this question confuses a lot of people, it definitely confused me when I was first starting out as a Canadian: where do I pay my taxes? Now, if you are Canadian, you don't actually have to pay any American income taxes. So what you want to do is you want to set up a corporation, and it's called an incorporation. So you want to get incorporated in Canada, and I recommend doing that in your home province. And so you can do it in, for example, British Columbia, Ontario, Quebec, Manitoba, Alberta, right? So wherever your home province is, there's slightly different tax laws and tax rates. More or less, it's the same across Canada. So just go ahead, create a corporation in your home province. You can also create a federal corporation, and it's a little bit cheaper to file that, to create that at the beginning. But in my opinion, I don't really have too much knowledge about that. So that's why I recommend just doing your home province. That's what I did, and it works great. And so for that, the website that I personally use to file my corporation is lawdepot.ca. Now, you can go the costly route of actually paying thousands of dollars to some lawyer or some accountant to do this for you, but I don't think that it's necessary. You can just go on lawdepot.ca, and there are many services like this out there that are able to actually create a corporation for you. And it's about, when I did it, I think it was about 500 to 600 Canadian dollars. So it's about 400 US dollars. Now, when you create your corporation, that means that you only pay income taxes in Canada. So you pay your corporate tax in Canada, and then you pay your personal tax wherever you live. There's two kind of tax rates. There's corporate tax and personal tax. So if you live in Canada and you are spending money there personally, then you will pay your corporate tax in Canada. That's where your corporation is. And then also your personal taxes, your personal income taxes, right? So the personal income tax rate is something different than the corporate tax rate. Now, in the United States, you don't have to pay anything other than sales taxes. And we're going to talk about that here later. Now, you also want to get what's called an EIN in the US with the IRS. The IRS is the tax authority in the United States. They're the ones that are responsible for collecting all the taxes, and that's where Americans pay their taxes. So basically, you want to get an EIN, and you can do that by just going on the IRS website. I'm going to do that with you now. So if you go on Google and you type in get an EIN, just click here, apply for an employer identification number, and then you go here, and then you just click on apply now. You can also call them, I believe, right here. I think like their phone number is somewhere here, and they'll just give you a number. And what that number is basically, even if you're Canadian, you are required to file a tax return in the United States, but on that tax return, you're gonna put an EIN on that piece of paper. You're gonna put your EIN, and then you basically tell them in the form saying that, hey, you're Canadian, and that as per the tax treaty between the United States and Canada, you don't actually have to pay any corporate taxes in America because you don't have any physical presence in America, and you are paying taxes in Canada, so you don't have to do that in the US. So that's how you get a business license. Now in Canada, an LLC is called a corporation, and an LLC is just the American term for limited liability corporation. So in Canada, we call it something different. But that's how you get the LLC, and that allows you to have a legitimate business, and you're not paying personal taxes for everything that you make, because paying personal taxes as a sole proprietor, it's much, much higher than paying corporate taxes if you have an LLC or a corporation that you set up in Canada. Now let's talk about sales tax, everybody's favorite topic. Where should I pay sales tax? Should I start paying sales tax before I even start selling on Amazon? So the rule is that sales tax must be paid wherever you have a significant amount of business, and also it used to be wherever you actually have a physical presence where your products are, let's say you have a warehouse in Texas, that means that you should file for a sales tax permit in Texas. And that's how it used to be. But now the rules have changed a little bit, and now sales tax must be paid wherever you have a significant amount of business. Now, when you're just starting out on Amazon, let's say you're just starting out, maybe you just launched your product, or you haven't even made a dime yet, you should not worry about sales tax. Okay, like sales tax is something that you should only worry about when you're making at least, I would say, $30,000 per month in revenue. And that's the rule of thumb that I recommend. And again, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a lawyer, but this is something that, just basically based off my personal experience, something that if you follow this, I think you'll be good. But again, not an accountant. You should contact an accountant to make sure. But the rule that I'd go with is once you're making $30K per month in revenue in your business, then you should apply for a sales tax permit in every single state where you have significant business. So where you have a lot of units sold. So for example, California, New York, Florida. Now, the website that you can use for setting up sales tax is avalara.com. And that's also a great website for all your other tax needs, like for VAT, setting up in Europe, which is something you'll have to do later if you actually sell in Europe. So avalara.com is fantastic. A lot of people worry about the fact that, maybe you've made $500 in revenue on Amazon, you haven't even made any profit yet, and people are worried that the government's going to come calling them, knocking on their door saying, hey, you owe me $10 in taxes. And that's just not the case. The government doesn't work like that. Things don't work like that. And what actually happens is that when you do a significant amount of business, that's when you probably should pay sales tax, and you probably should file for a sales tax permit. And as a Canadian, you would have to file for GST, so that's basically goods and services tax, in every province that you sell units in. So if you're selling in Amazon Canada, then you would have to file for GST also when you're doing a significant amount of business. This is not something you should worry about when you're just starting out. What I say, what I've always said, is focus on making your first $1,000 per month and forget about the rest. You don't even need a corporation. You don't need any sales tax permits until you're doing a significant amount of business. Then you actually should incorporate everything that I'm saying here. Now let's talk about bank accounts. Which bank accounts do I need for Amazon? So Amazon works like this. They'll pay you in the currency of the country that your bank account is set up in. So a lot of Canadians, what they do is they go to their bank, and then since they want to sell in the US, they ask their bank to set up a US dollar account. But what happens is that there's a difference between a US dollar account in Canada and a US dollar account with an American bank. If you set up a US dollar account with CIBC, TD, RBC, or BMO, what happens is that, and that account is in Canada, and you try to plug it into Amazon, Amazon's just going to go and pay in Canadian dollars because Amazon wants to make their currency fees. They just will not pay US dollars to a Canadian based bank account. Well, you're in luck because you're allowed to actually go and set up cross-border banking with RBC, BMO, CIBC, or TD. As far as I know, mine is set up with BMO. And what BMO has is that, yes, you can set up a Canadian bank account here, a Canadian business bank account in Canada, and then you can also set up an American-based American dollar account in the United States with BMO Harris, which is like the American equivalent of the Bank of Montreal, which is BMO in Canada. And then when you put that bank account, the US dollar bank account in the United States, into Amazon, you'll receive payments there in the US, and you can easily transfer the money between accounts. Now let's say you receive the money in the US account in America, and you want to transfer it over to Canadian dollars because you need it in Canada to actually use it. I recommend using a website called transferwise.com. It's a fantastic website, and the fees that they take for currency exchange are way lower than what your bank would take. It's transferwise.com right here, and I use this for transfers all the time. It works anywhere in the world almost. And so here, as you can see, if you go and try to transfer $1,000 to CAD, there you go. So you get 1,313, and then it says here you could save up to $64 versus the average bank. And let's say you want to send more, like 30,000 US dollars, and then there you go. You save almost 1,000 US dollars, so 823.83. So that's if you want to transfer US dollars to Canadian dollars, and it's amazing. Now, if you're living in Canada and you don't mind paying a little bit of currency exchange, you don't want to go through the hassle of, setting up cross-border banking with RBC or BMO or your bank, then I recommend just putting in your Canadian business bank account into Amazon. Amazon will convert the US dollars into Canadian, and you will lose some money. But to be honest with you, if you're doing like 10K a month, 20K a month, it's not a big deal. It really only becomes a problem if you're making 100,000 per month on Amazon. And so in that case, you definitely want to set up cross-border banking because then you're going to be losing a lot more because it's a percentage rate that you lose with currency conversion. So there you go. That is everything you need to know to successfully sell on Amazon US as a Canadian, as well as selling anywhere in the world. Now, if you're a Canadian and you're wondering where should I start, hopefully this video actually gave you a better idea where to start. Amazon Europe, huge opportunity. I would highly recommend starting to sell on Amazon US because there you can actually launch your first product. You can get a lot of traction, but there are some products that are also amazing opportunities in Canada. You really just have to do product research. You have to put effort in, put some time in, and you'll start to kind of see where the good products are, where you should launch. And Amazon is such an insane growing force in the century that there are millions of products out there, and there are even more products that are great to actually start today. Before we go, I want to share with you some examples of successful Canadian students that I personally mentored. And for example, here I have Kai. She's made almost 5,000 US dollars in her first month with her first product selling on Amazon in the US as a Canadian. I think she's from Toronto, the Toronto area. And so she says she's happy. She's on the first page and she's grateful for all the help from the community. And here's another example of a student in the Econ Freedom community. Her name is Susan. She's 61 years old and she's making $17,000 per month US. That's almost 23,000 Canadian if my mental math is correct. And she says that she's projecting a $500,000 year because that's not her only income source. She's also expanded onto Shopify and she's also doing about $40,000 per month there. But she started on Amazon and that was her base. So there are tons of examples of successful Canadians in the Econ Freedom course and training. And the link is down below to join. The price is going up to $997 very soon as I'm restructuring the website and I'm announcing a brand new launch of the website. So the entire course is going to be put on there. So if you're Canadian, there's no reason why you can't just be like Susan or Kai or even achieve higher success than them. I hope you enjoyed this video, you got value. Subscribe, leave a like, leave me a comment telling me what you think and telling me what your plan is as a Canadian, what you're gonna do and when you're launching your product. Looking forward to your success and I'll see you soon.